and thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Coda Country Chats. Listeners out there, I have the lovely, the beautiful Bailey Morgan in studio with me today. How are you, Bailey?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so well. Listeners, Bailey has a new single that's dropping April the 11th called Nascar Track. Bailey, when I heard this single, I was like, oh my gosh, I know of somebody who is exactly like this. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration for Nascar Track.
Yeah, so NASCAR Track, it just kind of came about. I had the idea. I had started writing the chorus and was like, okay, we're on to something here. And so I took it to my co-writers, Elliot Russo and Andrea Vasquez, who I write with often, and we always get something great. And we came up with the song, inspiration from someone from my past, like usual, a boy. But it's good. And inspiration musically, it's a song about, an old flame, but it's not he did something wrong, I did something wrong. It's just kind of a feel-good song. You can roll your windows down. And I think musically, I have so many inspirations just from growing up listening to country music. Definitely, I have some inspirations, like Casey Musgraves is obviously a big one of mine. But sonically, It's a little bit of everything that I wanted to put into the song.
For sure. And talking a little bit about your co-writers there, Andrea is one of our friends, our Coda Country Chats pod family members. That's what we like to call it. It's a long title, I know. But yes, so, and you were saying that you guys write with Elliot frequently. When you went into the write, you just talked about how you had this idea. Is that typically how the writes go for you all? Like, do you bring ideas of your own and then you just kind of like pull them all together? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that is kind of how it is. It doesn't matter what day it is, we'll go into the write, and it could be like, what do you have going on? What's going on in your life? Do you have any ideas? Andrea and I are both artists. Elliot's an amazing songwriter, so it kind of just is what fits either one of us in the moment.
For sure.
I just came with the idea of NASCAR Track. I had some of the chorus written down. Do you guys like this idea, or is this kind of cheesy? And they were like, no, it's just, and that's how it came about.
I love that. Let me ask you this. And I saw in your bio that you also have cuts with Andrea. Tell me, like, when you go in, do you have a song idea and you're like, I think this would be perfect for you? Or is it just kind of like you write it out and then see what happens? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it could be Andrea or I or Elliot. We have an idea that we think of on a random Wednesday. We're like, oh, this would be great for tomorrow's write or tonight's write. And then we kind of mention it. It's kind of like an open chat. Like, hey, what are you guys thinking? Do you have ideas? Sometimes it could be, I want to write a sad song today. Or Andrea's like, I want to write a tempo. So it's kind of whatever we're feeling in the moment. But we could kind of write a little ditty on the side and then just take it in and be like, hey, I have this idea. What do you guys think of it? So it's kind of 50-50, I would say.
I love that. No, I love hearing that, just because it's always interesting to me, like, how the collaboration process works. Just because, like, that's one of the beauties of Nashville, is like hearing all of the different songwriter ideas melding into one. So yeah, I'm really glad you told me that, just because now I know like a little bit more about y'all's writing process. In listening to NASCAR Track and like reading a little description of it, I'm just going to read this off for the listeners so they know what I'm looking at. In one of the write-ups, it says, this song is definitely high octane, roll the windows down like you described, feel good, and no matter what style. And I love that, just because high octane is one of those, like, I don't know, like you were just saying, where you bring like an emotion where it's a sad song, or you bring in like you want to write a tempo song, or however, it really does bring in like an idea that you want a specific feel for the song. Like for me, it sounded like something you would hear played at a NASCAR event, or like something you would hear, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think you were going for like a very good vibe here, and that's exactly what you achieved.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I didn't want to
Of course.
he did something wrong or I did something wrong. And like, obviously I have so many songs like that. I write a lot about boys, and I've been through it in the dating field in my time. But this song is just kind of a feel good, kind of reminiscing on, you know, an old flame running into someone you haven't seen in a while. And it's just like, hope you're doing well type of thing. So I'm really excited about that.
I'm glad that you said that. Let me ask you this too. Okay, drawing from personal experience, and knowing that you write with a lot of that in mind, let's go back and let's chit chat a little bit about your background growing up, a little bit about all the musical influences that you've taken in and just have like really transformed your sound. I'd love to know more about you as an artist.
Okay. So I am from Oklahoma, a really, really small town, smack dab in the middle near like OU Sports, the whole
Cute.
college football town. I don't watch a lot of sports, but that's where you can kind of mental picture where I'm from. I actually started clogging.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I love clogging.
You
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's
Oh
crazy.
yeah.
Most people are like, what's that? It's a form of tap. But we were called the Okie Stompers. Real life. I have a picture somewhere, like an American flag, sequin, get up, crazy. But
I
my teacher,
love that. Oh my gosh.
yeah, full clog. I don't know how to clog now, but like back then I was a pro, and my teacher was like, "Hey, parents, she's kind of like acting out, like she's singing, she's doing all these things. Like, have you thought about singing lessons?" And they were like, "No, but like, let's do it." So then I started singing, realized I could actually carry a tune, or so I thought. So then I started singing in competitions around Oklahoma. That turned into, I started guitar lessons at 12. And then that was kind of the Taylor Swift era. She came out with her debut album, and, you know, she was writing songs about her experiences. And I was like, if she can, I can too. So I
Oh
started
yeah.
writing 12 bad songs that will never see the light of day. Never. But my parents, okay, she's kind of, you know, doing the music thing. So they packed up, quit their jobs, and moved me to Nashville when I was 15, which is crazy. And then from there, I just started, you know, writing, playing guitar, and then went to Belmont for songwriting. And then after that, I would say I've done a lot of songwriting, but now it's kind of time to do the artist thing and kind of go from there and see where it takes me. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about your time at Belmont. Just how did you decide in your time there that you wanted to also be an artist, or did you kind of have that like at the forefront anyway? Along with, you know, attending school.
Yeah, I always wanted to be an artist. I've always wanted to be the one that tells the stories, or my own. But also love writing for other people. I love having them tell their stories. So it's always been in the back of my mind, kind of, I need to be the one to tell these stories. There's nobody else I feel like that can truly convey what I'm trying to say other than me. So it's always been in the forefront, but I've also loved writing for other people. So I'm half and half on that, but I think now I'm really ready to kind of get on out there.
Absolutely. I have a question for you. Okay,
Yeah.
when you write, do you think of lyrics first, or is it more melody driven?
I feel like years ago it used to be melody driven. I would just like be in the car and think melody and voice memo it. My voice memos are insane. Now I feel like I would, yeah, I'm crazy on voice memos, but I would say now it's more lyric driven, where I'll think of like maybe a fragment of a verse or a chorus, or maybe just a hook, and I'll write it down and then go from there. So I would say right now I'm very lyric driven.
Oh, I love that. Well,
Yeah.
and it's funny how that kind of transforms, like where, or may even depend on the song, like say you're writing something and you just have a really great melody line that like you have to get out and like maybe the words just happen to come along with it. I love hearing that though, just because it's funny. So many different artists answer that question differently, and it's
Mm-hmm.
cool to hear how the creative juices are flowing and you get your pen to paper, so to
Yeah.
speak. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right.
Tell me what after you release the single, or let's say this podcast drop a few days after the single is released.
Mhm.
What's next for you in 2025?
So much. I'm ready to hit the ground running. So after NASCAR Track, I have more singles coming in the near future.
Yay!
So I'm about to pop them out. I have a music video coming soon too for NASCAR Track. So I'm super
Nice.
at. And I'm gonna play more shows, so lots more of me in the future. And then I'm also still writing, so I write a lot with Andrea and other writers in town. I have my own little group, and there's a lot coming.
Yay! I'm glad to hear that. What? Tell me, so far, is there a venue that you have played that has been one of your absolute favorites to play?
Yes, I have grown up going to shows at the Listening Room, a little writer venue in
Mm.
town. Used to be, I think, by Cummins Stations, and my mom would take me there when I was in high school, and I was just in awe of all the songwriters. And then I finally got the first time, like 2 years ago, and it was just so amazing. The crowd is always so respectful, receptive, and it's just so much fun. And you always get to play with your friends, so it's getting a friend hangout, plus, meeting new people. And now I've gotten to play there probably 20 times or so. So it has just become
Wow.
a favorite place, but it's a place I grew up just wishing I could play one day. And that's probably my favorite.
That's really great. It's funny when you said the listening room, it brought me this quote, I guess, from I'm trying to remember who said it now. It was another artist, and he was referring to the listening room, but for some reason he was so funny in saying that like he joked around and called it with his friends the not so much listening room because like there are times when like like what you were saying, like people are mostly like really respectful and they're like listening, and he's like there have been nights when I have played that they were not listening.
Um,
I just think that's super funny.
it's really hit or miss. They do a really great job about reminding them we are here to listen to the music and like you can chit chat. Obviously, you'll get the occasional, rowdy crowd that maybe is not listening. They listen a lot better than some of the bars I've played in where like I do not care. So for the most part, I feel like they are the listening room.
Yeah, I love that. Well,
Yeah.
and because that was kind of my idea too. Like, I don't know. I feel like when you're in a writer's room situation like that, or in some really cool establishment that's known for songwriting, like Bluebird or listening room, or even in like a whiskey jam,
Mhm.
it's like you never know when you're hearing a song for the first time that's gonna blow up. You know what I mean? I think that's so interesting, and that's one of the like beautiful things about Nashville.
There are so many talented artists and writers, and yeah, you can never sleep on someone because they could have a song that blows up and is so crazy. You never know who you're listening to. They could be the next star. So that's what's crazy about
Yeah,
Nashville.
exactly. Well, okay. So speaking a little bit about sleeping on stuff, I want to hear, since you were talking a little bit more about the singles that you're gonna put out. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, like focusing this one on NASCAR Track a good bit, but I do want to like maybe get a little sneak peek on some of the new music that you have coming out in the future. So give us like a little like idea of the next single that you'll release after this one.
Yeah. So the next single I'm gonna release on in the near future. It's called Debbie Downer. The title
Oh,
is
cute.
that sounds crazy. Everyone is like, "Oh my gosh, that's a crazy title." I want it to be like that. I want you to go, "What is that about? That's interesting." different title. Debbie Downer is just about kind of going through the highs and the lows, more so the lows, and just kind of figuring out how to get past that. It is kind of a sad song, but it's mid-tempo. So again, it's kind of, okay, you can kind of groove with it. It's not so sad that you're going to cry. Hopefully not. But it's near and dear to my heart. So I'm excited to release that next.
Debbie Downer. I think that's it's a very interesting title. Like you were just saying, like it's definitely piquing my interest. I can't wait to hear it. Do you have a song that you would consider like a labor of love? Like it wasn't the easiest to write. It wasn't one of those that was like just something that just came out within like an hour or so. Can you recall a song that you've written that's like that?
I would say NASCAR Track, honestly. It's an idea that I had. I had written the first 3 or 4 lines and a couple lines of the verse, and I had sat on it forever. You kind of sit on songs that are really like close to you and you feel really confident about writing until you can find the right group of people to kind of hone it in. So I sat on that for probably like a year and a half, and then was like, hey guys, what do you think about this idea? So I would say NASCAR Track, and there's another song that's super sad about a breakup. Again, I write a lot about boys. I sat on I really do. I sat on forever, and then just recently finished writing that I'm gonna release in the near future too, called Pretty Boy, just about being sad over a guy. So
it's just funny though, because like sometimes those songs that like take a good bit to like come to fruition, almost like really become the songs that you're like, yes, I'm so glad that I stuck with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's so cool.
When it's finally completed, as a songwriter, you get that, rough tape, work tape, and then hearing it again when it's in fruition, like you have the guitars down, the vocals, it's mastered, it's ready. It is like your song baby that's now going to be out in the world. So it's a good.
I love that song baby. Yes. That's precious. I know. Well, Bailey, I'm so excited that the song is going to release for you on Friday. NASCAR Track listeners, make sure that you are listening and streaming to it on April the 11th. Bailey Morgan, before we hop off the call today, is there anything else that you would like to promote or anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
I would love to promote my socials. You can go to Bailey Morgan Music on Instagram, my website, all the things to keep up with me. I want to thank everyone for listening, and the listeners. Hopefully I get new listeners. I would love to connect with you guys on NASCAR Track. Be watching out for that to come out. Also, music video coming soon. I want to thank the Nashville Super Speedway.
Ooh, nice.
And was like, hey, I have an idea for this video. You don't know me. I'm a super small songwriter in town, but I would really love to shoot a video here. Do you guys like just let randoms in? And she was this wonderful girl that is the manager for the Speedway. Was like, yeah, come on. So she let me in on a random Saturday, full rain of the entire track. And so I'm really excited for that to come out. It's really cool.
That is awesome. What a way to kick off like the single release by putting out such a badass video. I think that's going to be awesome. Yay! Listeners out there, make sure that you follow along Bailey Morgan Music on Instagram, socials, website, all that kind of thing. And make sure that you stream NASCAR Track April the 11th and onward. And you heard about it here with Lee and Coda Country. Y'all have a great day. Thank you so much, Bailey.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Thanks.